Last season, we wrapped up the Full Send Sims iRacing Esports Spec Miata Championship at Sebring International Raceway, where young three-time champ Morgan the Kid Burkhart couldn't prevent younger Camden Hibbett from claiming his first title. Well, as we hit the halfway point of 2024's third season tonight, that duo are at it again. Normally teammates who play nicely until 2 laps to go, the gloves seem to have been coming off a bit earlier this season, but the result is a single-point margin between them atop the standings. But we're only at halfway, and there are a multitude of contenders that are still mighty close, including 2 former champions. Will the Chasers make a move tonight, or will the 2 leaders stretch their margins? It's time to answer that very question. Welcome to legendary Sebring. Hi folks, I'm Greg Kramer along with Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, we do come here often, but it's for a variety of very good reasons.
Well, this is one of the best racetracks on the calendar, Greg. We've seen some amazing racing here. Photo finishes, last lap passes, 3, 4, 5 wide race starts. This place puts on a show with Spec Miata racing. We've got a field of over 30 of them tonight. It's hot, it's slick, it's Central Florida. It's just everything that Spec Miata is all about. And tonight, 2 20-minute races, as you said, right at the halfway point of the season as things are getting hot in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that high shot that you started off with, and even this one a little bit, from this height, the irony, of course, it's, was a World War II airfield and continues to be adjacent an active airport. And from this height, it looks kind of banal, doesn't it? It's flat, nothing to this, right? Just some squiggly stuff. But you get down on ground level and try and drive this place fast, it can bite you in a hurry, and the bumps can change your direction through a corner with hardly any notice at all. This place presents a lot more of a challenge than that track map looks.
And let's have a look at the track map here, Greg. 17 corners around here, 3.7 miles is the distance, and you said all the bumps. It's all the surface changes from the concrete runways and taxiways of the old airfield onto what is now permanent race course asphalt sections. There's so much going on in this racetrack over that 3.7 miles.
Oh, it is, and it's those transitions too, from the old concrete patches of the old runways to the asphalt and the pave, but there's bumps in every one of those transitions that haven't been addressed in years. Turn 1 is the ultimate bottleneck. If you're going to think about a decreasing radius corner in terms of width from entry to exit, Turn 1 at Sebring is it. 3, 4, 5 is an absolute handling test, and then 6 is flat out fast. 7 used to be that longer hairpin, now they call it the safety pin, but again, one of the best of many overtaking areas on this track.
Yeah, then you carry on all the way down to Cunningham, turn number 10. It's another passing opportunity here in a Spec MX-5, but it gets tight on corner exit. You run up to turn 13, that's Tower Turn. That's a tricky kind of tight apex. It's got a big curb on the inside. Then through Bishop Bend, turn 14, fling over into Jean de Bienne at 15 and 16. Real nice flowing section there. And all the way down to Sunset Bend, turn 17. One of the most challenging corners on the racetrack. You are carrying so much speed over there. It is a beautiful corner, but there's high stakes to enter that corner at speed, and it's also where we've seen some last lap passes in this race in the past. And qualifying has been important here, Greg, because we see a lot of group separation and incidents on the start, so it's critical to get a good lap in now.
Yeah, it really is. And I keep looking at the points and I look at the stats, and as you might expect, there is definitely a direct correlation between if you start up at the front, how do you fare in the opening laps? If you start, 10th or worse, the odds go way up you're going to get involved in something. So just that in and of itself. The other thing of this, this track, we talk about, the most important corners on a track are the ones that lead onto a long straight. Well, 17 leading onto the main straight, 5 leading on that bend into the hairpin, the exit of the hairpin, all the way up to Cunningham. Tower, critically important. It takes you all the way down to Jean de Bienne, turn 15, and then, of course, coming out of Lamaze Curve onto the Ullman Straight. This place, it has so many crucial points, and here is that turn 1 as we ride on board with a former champ, and you can see how that pavement narrows up, and you really have to almost grind your left mirror along that big concrete wall of turn 1 to get yourself on the right line.
Yeah, then this section here really turns 3 through 5. You're kind of threading the needle between these curbs. Rice Budo is going to make a mistake there, and he'll bail out of this lap, but it is a really finicky part of the racetrack. You get down here to turn 7. This is the safety pin, as you call it, Greg. Yeah, big bump on entry. Clobber the curb there on the inside. It's a flat curb, but you can accelerate out, and then you're setting yourself up for another potential passing opportunity. Maybe not so much in the prototypes and things, but in an MX-5, you definitely can get it done down here at turn 10.
Oh, you can. Yeah, there's lots of pace in here. And as you said, these are just flat chat. And then you get up here to about those two cone marker right there. You fling it in here. But as you said, it really tightens up. And you just want to stay left on the exit, because then you make that bend through 11 or Collier curve, which is sort of a double apex corner. And then coming up here to the all-important tower turn, use a lot of that entry curve, get the car turned, and you got to be on the throttle way before the apex there, and in fact at most of these corners. And I love this place. The only part of it I don't like anymore is what is now the Fangio bends, for lack of a better. It used to be a much tighter right-left flick that really was a great test of driver, just threading your way through there at speed. And for some reason they decided to just make that far more easier. It really almost doesn't exist in these cars at all. But nonetheless, still an absolutely fabulous track. Here we come into that turn 17, and when it goes wrong here, it is a massive incident. It's a great overtaking area, but there's lots of different ways to make your turn in here. There's that sort of, you see Morgan there just sort of gently eases in really late apex here, and other cars will turn a little bit tighter and then hug the inside a bit more. Lots of different lines. In these cars, I'd be kind of looking at what Morgan's doing, to be honest.
Yeah, and watch this as you come through turn 17. The bumps at Sebring. This is a very old laser scan of this racetrack, but it doesn't even matter. The bumps, they've changed over time a little bit here and there, but this track has had this character for a very long time. It's just, it's a blast. It's a lot trickier to handle in the high downforce, highly sprung LMP3s and LMP2s and GTPs and things in iRacing, but these MX-5s, there's so much suspension travel that it becomes kind of a wild, bouncy ride.
Yeah, and I mean, the more compliant the suspension is here, the more fun in terms of just being able to bounce over things and just keep going it is. And that's what sort of defines these cars in those high downforce prototypes. The bump and rebound is just so absolutely insane. And the one thing I noticed there on that lap where we followed Morgan through 17, and I've seen it before, if you're ballsy enough, if you will, to get way up against that inside wall in 17, the bump that you hit doesn't look as bad. And the farther out you get from that wall, the more exaggerated that bump gets. And remember, we're talking a lot about 17 here. Turn 1 has equally abusive bumps, and there you get that wrong, and it's going to always end bad. Because the track comes back on itself so much, it narrows up. But here's that inside wall. You turn in with a lot of room, but right about there, you got to be right up against it, or you're never going to make that exit.
It's a fun corner when you get it right, and it's it can be really frustrating to get it wrong, especially in qualifying. 26 cars have taken time. Another half dozen or more have yet to put in a lap that will count, despite trying several times. All of them have made at least 2 attempts at a fast lap. There's Arif Aziz finally getting to 26, but notably Olivier Piatek has yet to clear a valid time, and Skip Brock Jr., who's made 4 attempts at putting down a fast lap, and he has yet to do it. And as I say that, he does, and he goes 9th. So it's now Piatek really the surprising one that has yet to put a time on the board.
Yeah, and I mean, this with these long straights, there's a toe to be able to make use of here as well on multiple spots here. It isn't like a Daytona level toe, but it's a nice little pull to be sure. It's currently Rice Pudo, as you can see, folks, up by a small margin, 13 100ths here. Ethan Lampy is only 99 1,000ths off Burkhardt in that 3rd spot, and maybe the revelation of the season here, one of 2, I think. Andrew, both of them named Andrew, interestingly. Andrew Wozencroft has just really hit his stride here. Oh, that was violent.
That was Burkhardt getting pinged off to the right there. and that was just after Olivier Piatek went to third and Ethan Lampe went to the top of the board in the last lap attempt that they had. We're only 40 seconds left here in qualifying, and because the way this iRacing qualifying system works with heat races, you don't get the extra time. So as soon as that clock hits 0, you're done, whether or not you've started a lap. So you have to get back to the checkers by the time this hits 0. Here's Josh Soto into turn 17 now.
Yeah, and he's chasing Rick Segrini along with Rice Pudo, who just lost that top spot. And let's see if one of them, if Rice Pudo can claim that and take it back from Ethan Lampe. But Jordan right now back in 8th. He wants a much better lap than that. Does he improve at all? And no, still sit, or does he?
Well, he improved, and then Soto beat him.
To 5th. So, yeah. Yep. And then Soto came through. But boy, this is something you don't see very often. Morgan Burkhardt off the front row.
Yeah, down in 4th, so he'll be right in the thick of things as things kick off here in just a moment. Greg, we've got a fairly long pace lap here, unless they moved a lot of the grids around in the recent iRacing build, but no, this is still going to be a full 3.7-mile pace lap. So we got some time to talk about the partners and people that make this all happen, notably Full Send Sims. Greg, they're the title sponsor of this series, and there's a whole lot of investment from Court Schmidt and his great company.
Oh, there's no question about it. They offer and build custom turnkey racing simulators that you can also rent with both real-world racing and simulation training in mind. And that's a big part of Court's mission, if you will. Yes, you can buy a sim and have fun, but it's also designed like the Sims for Apollo and like the military sims from where Court comes as a training tool to make you better in the real world. And they are often at tracks with their trailer where you can come in and do a little bit of training, and that's why their slogan is practice makes podium. And what a job they have done. Farah has joined us here in the middle of this 2024 season, and a Florida-based series looking to expand a little bit next year. And can't wait for that. And one of their big draws among many is it costs spectators virtually nothing. A family of 4 can literally come in and watch 2 days of racing for $20. And the cost isn't that much for competitors either. And they offer an awful lot for that and a lot of bang for the buck. 3P Logistics, they've been with us since day one. And along with all their great trackside support, they have race car storage, maintenance, repair. They'll even do transportation for you. And Final Turn Motorsports, Miata Transmission Builder. They are a driver development from simple licensing all the way to pro level. You can just stick with Final Turn and get it done. And then, of course, Wine Country Motorsports has been with us almost since the beginning as well. And they have the largest combined inventory of premium race gear brands in the country. And that's partnered with the best customer service in the business because they answer the phone when the internet folks don't. So it's just that simple.
And I think they've got a shop on site here at Sebring as well.
They do.
This
is a big home for them. Yeah, absolutely. Wine Country has a beautiful shop there.
So pace lap is underway. Why don't we go through the starting lineup, and we'll kick things off with the front row where Ethan Lampe takes pole position. Nicholas Rice Pudo will start alongside him there, Greg, in that second spot.
And then starting third, Olivier Piatek, who comes in here third in the points, but a little bit back. So this is great news for him. Morgan Burkhardt, and the number 40 will be fourth.
I think Piatek might have missed the grid. I don't see that green car out there.
Oh, no.
And this happened last time, I think, at Sebring for him as well. But Joshua Soto starts 5th place in the number 77, and Jordan Rick Segrini rolls off 6th in the 108.
And then starting in the 7th spot, Andrew Wozencroft, who, as I said, really has come alive this year in the number 80. Starting in the 8th spot, Sean Reyes, who has really been as racy as always in his 29.
Eric Hewo, who's had some really solid runs as of late, starts 9th place in the number 16. Skip Rock Jr., a late qualifying effort, made it to 10th, though, in that yellow number 32.
And Skip tends to move up just a little bit. Should be fun. Starting in the 11th spot, Deacon Greenfield in the number 20, starting alongside 12th, Hayden Manis in his number 65.
And then 13th place, Elliott Burton in the number 6, and Dylan Lee in the number 200. They'll share row number 7, 13th and 14th.
In row number 8, starting in 15th to 23 of Beans Forster, and the man himself, starting in 16th, Court Schmidt in his number 33.
Jim Friedhofer starts 17th in the number 89. Jose de las Casas, 18th place in the number 717.
Starting in the 19th spot, the number 950 of Sally Mott, starting 20th, the number 60 of Bob Mueller Jr.
And Andrew Gaiata in the number 61 starts 21st place. Joshua Clatterbuck 22nd in the 101 car.
Starting 23rd, the 105 is Dave Brown, starting in the 24th spot, and the number 70, Al Duchar.
Dylan Maroney starts 25th in the number 145, and Seth Spolman 26th in the 042.
And starting in the 27th spot is Lucas Strabelli in the number 90, and Arif Aziz starts 28th in the 212.
And 29th place is Josh Bakari, the number 993. He's 29th. Wayne Buttermore, 30th in the number 73 car.
Starting 31st, the 979 of Tony Shelton. He'll be joined by the 125 Sawyer Richards, starting 32nd.
Martin Ramirez rounding out the starting grid here. Before we get to the green flag, let's have a look at the onboards we've got tonight. This is Deacon Greenfield giving us his perspective, as always. Beans Forster with the pedal cam showing us how much work is going on in the pedal box here. Andrew Wozencroft has his on board for us. Dylan Lee has his on board for us tonight, and so does Skip Brock Jr. So a couple of different angles we'd like to show you throughout the evening as drivers are in the heat of battle. And speaking of the heat, it's not as bad as it could be here. It's cloudy skies, 81 Fahrenheit, 107 degrees Fahrenheit, Greg. Let me tell you, it can be worse than this.
Oh, yes, it can. It can be absolutely stifling tropical here. But, yeah, this is downright pleasant for this place. You know, Central Florida, no Gulf or ocean breeze to be found. So, but you still, one thing about this track, again, with all the surface changes and the like, you got to, even in these shorter races, you got to conserve a little bit of tire, and you always got to make sure you don't lose the lead pack. And wow, from way back in the field is Kurt Schmidt. So some problem for him. But up front, here we go, out of Sunset Bend, or turn 17, underneath that bridge onto the front straight, long one here. Let's see how early or late Barney decides to let him fly. A couple of cars out of line way early, but we are now green. Wozencroft way down to the inside, an absolutely great start. Lampy trying to fend off Rice Pudo, but watch Wozencroft way tight to the inside. That is not always a great spot to be as everybody turns in across you.
This is a wild start. I think I saw 6 wide there. There's a couple cars spinning in the background. One of them goes for a slide. That's Joshua Clatterbuck, but somehow that's all we got away with in the opening corner, but it tightens down here into turn 3.
Yeah, we had 3 abreast, and there you go. 2 cars coming together, and now a bunch more unfolding. And everybody right now that was in that mess are kind of hoping that that was the exit to 3, because the series' new turn 1 rule, it was announced in the drivers' meeting, would be in place for turns 1 through 3. So we'll see how that plays out. But right from the off here, Nicholas Rice Pudo starting to really pressure Ethan Lampy, and Morgan Burkhardt jumps up into 3rd here. And of course, part of that is because Olivier Piatek has just gone missing here. But Morgan, I'll tell you, Skip Brock is all over the back of Morgan, and he's got Jean Reyes right alongside.
He's gained 6 positions in the first half of laps. This is a really strong start for Skip after qualifying 10th. Ooh, little hip check there on Jean Reyes, and the run down to Cunningham. Reyes got to the inside, though, has the overlap contact, and it sends the 32 for a ride.
Yeah, and you can see that Skip seemed to recognize he was there and moved to open the door up a little bit, and then just kind of turned back in a little bit. I'm not sure what exactly what happened there, but now after that great opening, half a lap, he's got some work to do again, back in the order, sitting in 8th. But look at this up front, Lampy and Rice Pudo already starting to ease away a little bit from Morgan.
They'd really like to ease away from Morgan Burkhardt and make it a 2-car race, right? But it's going to be so tough unless they completely break the draft. And even then, Morgan has proven time and time again that he has got single-car pace over almost anyone in the field. Rice Pudo missed the turn in there a little bit compared to Lampy, and you see that 159 sprint away.
I'll tell you what, Lampy really impressive in that qualifying run. It's certainly, I think, his first pole of this season. Not sure he's raced with us yet in this 3rd season of 2024, but we've seen him previously, and he's always quick.
Bob Miller Jr., he's in the wall and out of the race here early, and Ethan Lampy has experience in the Coca-Cola eNASCAR iRacing series at the effectively professional sim racing level, and that's on the oval side, but we have seen him show up in other championships like the GR Cup Esports Series and has performed very well there. So he is a road racer as well, and he does a great job with all of it, and it'd be cool to see him steal one away from the guys running for points here this season.
Yeah, wouldn't it? That would be just kind of stir the pot just a little bit. And I'll tell you, Josh Soto is struggling to stay in front of Jean Reyes here, and Wozencroft is right with him. Then a little gap to Elliott Burton and a recovering Skip Brock. But they're just that quick now. Burkhardt is there. The problem is, for Soto and the rest, they are right now about 8/10 back of Morgan Burkhardt. They've got to just get their heads down, draft together a little bit, and catch these guys. You do not want Lampe, Rice-Budo, and Burkhardt to break clear.
Olivier Piontek is one of the drivers that's on pit lane. Remember, he missed the grid. But let's go back and see if we can kind of just figure out what happened on the opening lap here with the 16 of Eric Hewo. This is the first car we saw go around. He's on the outside here. Rick Segrini's in the middle. It's Elliott Burton on the inside. There's just too many cars in too small of a space, and that's how they tangle.
It was literally a ping pong, wasn't it? Rick Segrini turned in. Burton was there. They touched. That sent Rick Segrini out and into that secondary contact. And you hate to see it, but come on, guys. You just can't. You can't go 3 wide through turn 3 here.
No, look at Morgan Burkhardt. He's put himself between Rice-Budo and Ethan Lampe while we were watching that replay. So he has snuck up into P2. And now this is going to be a battle and a brawl between these two guys. Both of them are highly competitive, and Ethan in the esports world primarily. And Morgan Burkhardt, of course, has a lot of real-world experience now in the Hyundai Elantra and TCR car on the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge side. So this will be fun to watch.
Absolutely, and that little exchange has allowed Josh Soto to make up half of that gap. Look at him. He is glued now pretty much to the back of Rice-Budo. And then there's that little bit of about a 4/10 margin back to Reyes, Wozencroft, Burton et al. Here. But Soto taking good advantage of that effort by Burkhardt to get through on Rice-Budo. And now Burkhardt down to the inside. Great exit out of the Le Mans curve onto the Almond Straight. He's got position on the inside. And Lampe, is he going to try and force it? No. Lets Morgan go through. He's going to try and do the over-under. Look how close Morgan is comfortable getting to that wall. One bump down there, Kyle. You can spear right into that wall if you get it wrong. But Morgan awfully good at getting close to that wall, minimizing the bump. And Lampe got a great exit out of 17. But showing, I think, some pretty good racecraft here. But Rice-Budo says, well, I'm going to try and get back to my second spot here. And, gave Lampe a little bit of a wide run there, didn't he?
Yeah, that was opportunistic there by Rice-Budo, but he got the pass done. It took him a corner or two to do that. And Burkhardt has clearly got some pace that everyone else is going to have a tough time to match again here tonight. He has both lost some races in a major way here and won them by a mile. We've been here enough times that we've seen the gamut with Morgan, but we'll see if the rest of the field can keep up. By the way, Court Schmidt and Dylan Maroney are in a great battle here. Woo, that's tight.
Ooh, and they almost collide coming back on. Boy, this is some snug stuff here, and that's Beans at the back coming through as well here. This is the battle for 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Look how close they are in the braking zone, almost rubbing fenders there. Can Maroney get it stopped? He's going to run wide, and it's going to open the door for Beans, but the momentum carries him too far left, and Court Schmidt out of a cannon out of turn 7.
Just pounced on that, absolutely. Stayed with it around the outside, and when Maroney got a little bit crossed up, Court just, like you said, shot out of a cannon and grabbed it. Boy, do I like the graphics package of Maroney's car. Look at Beans dives to the inside.
Took him by surprise there, and I think he'll have this pass. Maybe not here until we get to Tower, but it's going to be a primarily right-hander coming up. But Maroney's hanging on tough.
Yeah, he sure is. Now he decides to just settle and tuck back in. And, I have watched, I had the pleasure of announcing Ferrari Challenge for a number of years, and they raced here a lot. And, the really fast guys, especially in a qualifying lap, Maroney runs super. Is that Maroney again?
That's super wide. Similar livery there.
Excuse me. Yeah, it is. You've got to be on the hammer well before the apex at Tower if you want to be fast around here. It's just the nature of that corner, and that's a wild ride.
Yeah, these curbs, remember, iRacing got the 3D curb update there. That's a sharp transition back on the tire across the road there.
Is.
And thankfully, you don't get a cut tire in iRacing from that, at least not yet. And Skip Brock Jr. is hounding this 6 car, isn't he?
Boy, isn't he? He's almost giving him a little, right there. just kind of gave him, I think, a little bit of a nudge and just ducked down underneath. And that's going to push Brock up now into 7th. And he's got about 0.6 of a second to make to get to Wozencroft, who is fighting mightily there in that 6th spot.
Lampe got 2nd place back. All this fighting is just letting Burkhardt inch away. Soto's kept touch, though, with 2nd place.
The thing is this back and forth between Lampe and Rice-Puto, if they do it in the right way, where when one gets the run, the other one just gently lifts, lets the guy go through, that's how you can run a guy down. But if you're scrapping all the way to the apex, that's how you let a guy get away. And it looks like they're staying pretty close here. I mean, the margin right now is under 0.4 of a second from Burkhardt to Lampe. And actually, you know, the laps are pretty darn close here as well. So, I mean, essentially, we got the proverbial blanket right now covering that top 4.
Yeah, I think for these drivers, I would be interested to see if anyone's got the pace to get out and go past Morgan Burkhardt, if they can just get him behind them. Because if you give Morgan Burkhardt the free space and anybody makes a mistake, game over, right? You have to trap him behind everybody else.
Well, and the other part of it is that you know, with Morgan here, one of the things that he's incredibly adept at is, you know, the overslow, backing everybody up a little bit on entry into a corner, so that whatever speed you have is sort of nulled out, right? And if you've raced him a lot, I think there might be an opportunity to use that to your advantage. Because, you know, if you get in his mirrors and you know, it's like, all right, you're going to get a run on exit, and he starts to play that game, you just straight line it to the apex. Get there. You got to do something to, as you said, to get him in your mirrors and let other people attack him. How many times have we heard him say, when somebody was really pushing him hard, he'd try and slow everybody down so that somebody could come up and start knocking on the door of the guy that's chasing him? Well, turnabout's fair play.
You know what the kids call that these days, Greg? Playing 4D chess.
There you go.
He's got a whole other dimension that no one else can seem to figure out. But good little battle back here. Arif Aziz is just ahead of Seth Spolman here, but on board with Spolman, Dave Brown, Josh Picari in tow here onto the back straightaway, the Ullman Straight, and engine blown for Dylan Maroney.
Oh, man. Yeah. Tricky little upshifts and downshifts, especially here. What a shame. He had a good scrap going, didn't he?
It really did.
I hate to see that. Hate to see that. But that's the nature of the beast here. And looks like right now that Lampe and Rice-Puto have sort of eased it down. But look who's joining this group. Reyes is absolutely flying tonight. We've seen these moments from Jean of just real, I mean, serious pace. And tonight, he is delivering. This is great stuff.
Yeah, he's in a great spot. He's in the tow now, and as these front drivers start scrapping with each other, it's just going to drag him right into the fight. And in particular at Sebring, when things go wrong, you can pick up others' pieces pretty easily because the track's so wide, you've got a lot of places to escape, unlike a place like Watkins Glen or something where you can really get jammed up. Here, there's lots of places to go, left, right, in the grass, in the concrete. You can escape the carnage ahead.
Yeah, and one of the other things that was mentioned in the drivers' meeting here is that and it's not so much a cut course issue. Ooh, big overshoot there, and there's a touch. And I'll tell you what, I don't think Court had any clue that was going to snap around in front of him like that. Is that
that was Jose de las Casas and Court Schmidt getting tangled.
Yeah, and those two guys obviously are good friends. Court races at Farah, and Jose comes and plays with us here and races with us. And one of the reasons Jose is running tonight, probably with a little bit more angst, is just to give Farah a little plug. This weekend is the fifth round of the 2024 Farah season at Sebring, and so he's out there. Aside from running everything, he tries to drive a little bit as well. So he's using that practice to make podium to true effect here.
I imagine drivers like Morgan Burkhardt are testing on Indianapolis this week, a brand new laser scan of Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the road course and with the Battle on the Bricks this weekend and Michelin Pilot Challenge in association with it. I'm sure Morgan will be there as well. So a great training tool, which is why Full Sense Sims build simulators to such a high degree of accuracy, so you can match your hardware to the accuracy of the software. Under 7 minutes to go, Greg. This will be 3 laps to go this time through if things pan out as is.
Yeah, again, long laps here, 3.7 miles essentially.
And Ethan Lampy's been sitting here. He's been patient. Not sure how much these two have battled each other before. I think we've seen Ethan a couple of times, if I recall, but I see Ethan across the board, so I could be getting that confused, but here he comes. There's cars stopped on the right, too, and if that was real world, that'd be a yellow flag, and you couldn't pass down here, but we're good.
Yeah. I don't know if that affected Ethan's attempt at the pass. He definitely had a bit of a run. But what I was getting at was going back to a safe re-entry, and it's not a course cut. They're not concerned about that. But the rule is if you have less than 2 wheels inside of the white line on either edge of the track, so if you've got only 1 wheel, you're kind of a little sideways there, or you're all 4 beyond the white line, at that point you have to make sure you make a safe re-entry. That is considered re-entering the track, and so and there are penalties if you don't. So that's been kind of drilled into everybody here. It hasn't really come to play yet, but it's like Rice Pudo's starting to get a little antsy here, knowing that we're coming down to the last few laps.
And Morgan Burkhardt has led 4 laps. Lampy has led 1, and Ethan is all over the 40 car. Definitely doesn't look like he's willing to sit back here for too much longer. I don't think you want to save this to a last lap pass. It's too risky. We've just seen that happen a number of times.
And the other thing is Morgan, he worked hard early to get up into this front battle. I mean, he got a little bit of a gift, obviously, with Piatek not there. But I talked about it. It's not as hot as we've seen, but this track is kind of abusive on tires, so you got to keep that in mind as well. It looks like Ethan's got a good set of tire. Well, so does Rice Pudo and Soto, the way things are going here. Reyes has dropped off just a little bit. He was right there, and you can see he's just dropped off a bit.
Yeah, just a couple tenths of a second. He was 6/10 back, now he's 8. So still in the conversation, but here comes Lampy.
Going for it. He's looking here, and immediately Rice Pudo fills that gap. So now Lampy's kind of committed. Now Rice Pudo goes down to the inside as well. And Rice, I thought for a minute he might try and double him up, but both of them go through on Burkhardt. Now I think Burkhardt lifted a little bit, wanted to get the run on the exit, but I think Morgan may have been marginally okay with losing a spot, but I don't think he liked the idea of losing 2 here.
No, 2 is not a good number, and we're going to have 2 laps to go this time through. And Morgan's going to try going around the outside. He can't afford to sit back here in third for too long. Around the long way, this is going to be a tough pass to make. He's got overlap, Greg. Here he comes.
He does, and let's see, Lampy, does he think he's got, Lampy gives him the room. That was awfully good. And look at Soto looking up the inside. Lampy still has position. Rice Pudo cuts underneath Morgan. Not sure if there's a little touch there, and now Morgan just dives to the inside of Lampy, and Lampy hangs on, but I think the game's afoot here. Look at Rice Pudo. He wants to be in front of Morgan. He wants to do anything he can here to slow Morgan up. Look at Soto!
Wow. 3 wide into the hairpin. Somebody lit the fuse on this grenade, and they're 3 abreast into the hairpin. That doesn't play. Lampy leads the way. They're sparring for second place behind him.
Boy, and Lampy just got 3, 4, 5 car lengths because of exactly that. And guess who's now been allowed to rejoin the party? Jean Reyes, because of all of that activity. And at this point, Lampy has a half second on Burkhardt, all because of that big activity down into the safety pit.
Yeah, but I would, if I'm Ethan Lampy, I really want the 0-3 behind me, not the 40.
You betcha. You bet.
He's like the lion that separated the gazelle from the herd now, and he's just going to hunt him down the next few laps, isn't he?
It's going to be interesting to see, like you said, not really knowledgeable on how much these 2 guys have raced, but from what you're telling me, Lampy, if he's racing pro-level stuff, he's good.
He is good, and I think what's interesting is I'm not exactly sure if there's been any prior arrangements, but he and Nicholas Rice Pudo have been awful friendly tonight as of late. I wonder if they're sort of mentally teaming up against this 40, knowing that he's really the standard of the field. So, we saw the 0-3 and 159 kind of pounce at the same time.
Yep.
So I wonder if that's maybe playing a factor into this here. But Lampe leads by 3.5 tenths of a second. The next 4 miles are going to tell us everything we need to know.
Man, and he got a great run out of the Lamar curve down the Lamar straight here, and actually opened up a little bit here on Burkhardt. There is that duo behind them of Rice-Puto and Soto. Here we come, out of 17, up, there's that little rise right there. Throws you right back on, and the white flag is out. 1 to go here at Sebring. And this has all the underpinnings of being perhaps epic, Kyle.
It sure does. Burkhardt's right there. Lampe has got the advantage, and Burkhardt is able to just so accurately place that car on the apex for turns 1 and 17, the 2 highest commitment corners on the track. But it's going to be a duel all the way back to the stripe, I think.
All right, nice exit there by Lampe through 3, then 4, but Burkhardt matching him. Oh, Rice-Puto running a little bit wide, doesn't matter. He's didn't lose a thing here. And again, Lampe able to just open it up just a smidge. And this is where Rice-Puto has any kind of an opportunity. I don't think he's close enough. And Lampe's going to cover. Here goes Morgan working the outside. They're both going to check up, maybe even a little touch there.
Good. It was a good decision to
cover,
though.
it was close. Oh, it was, absolutely.
Because I think Morgan would have taken that opportunity to try to outbreak the 159 had he not. He's going to look left here into Cunningham. If he can hold the overlap in turn 10, he might have a chance at beating him on the outside. We've seen him make this pass before, so Lampe's got to drive in deep.
Yeah, he's got to really hustle in there.
And he did.
Oh, and there it is, yep. And there goes Rice-Puto. Burkhardt, and that little, look at this, Rice-Puto now side by side with Lampe. And if these guys are buds, I know Lampe wants the win, but if they've been really close here, Rice-Puto wants to get back into the championship a little bit. Will Lampe be the guy who gives him the help, especially with Camden Hibbett not being here? Look at Soto coming up, taking a run at Burkhardt.
This is not what Burkhardt needed.
No.
If he wants a chance to win this race, Lampe runs off the course trying to find a way around Rice-Puto into turn 15 and 16 here. This is going to be really dicey between third place and fourth. Soto runs off the course.
I think they might have been a little tap there as well. And here comes Reyes because of that moment. Soto now off completely. 3 abreast up front. Oh, this is just fierce. Lampe trying to get a side draft, something off of Rice-Puto.
Oh boy.
Boy. Kyle, they've got to keep Morgan frozen on the outside here or it's game over.
Oh, it might be game over for all 3.
Oh, look at it.
Yeah, iRacing just crashed on me, didn't it?
It did.
That is the most unfortunate sim crash I've ever experienced in my existence.
Yeah, well, I am watching right now what's going on here.
I don't know.
Greenfield's giving us a little run, but he's still driving. I'm watching the guys here on Zoom. They're still driving.
Wow, I've never had that happen. This must be a new bug.
That is.
Well, we'll sort it out and get back in there.
Maybe the announcer volume triggered it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never.
No.
Well, we'll get back in and we'll sort things out. But yeah, this is one of those things. iRacing got a build update, I think about a week or 2 ago, and it can sometimes introduce bugs and things into the software that take a little time to patch out. But I have almost never had crashes in iRacing, so we'll get back in. It'll likely take us about 2 minutes, and we'll try to resort what happened.
All right. Well, if the scoring is still accurate,
no, because the
probably not. It would have shut down as soon as that did, right?
Correct. Yep. So we won't.
Which makes sense when I look at the margins. There's no way.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll try to get this sorted out. But man, what a race! It's a shame that moment. Any other time in the race, I would have been all right with that. But,
yeah. Well, we're
on a lightning delay.
We got the best guy. There you go. We got the best guy in the business, folks, that is working on this, and Kyle.
Yeah, we'll just see if it'll let me back in, and indeed it will, so we'll give us a few minutes here. But in the meantime, let's kind of recoup what we saw while we're waiting for this to load back in, because I think we saw the Rice-Budo and Lampe really working together, but they made a mistake leaving turn 16, and they let Morgan Burkhardt get to the outside, and that was, I think, the critical mistake.
Absolutely, and that's why I was saying that both of them, you can see Lampe trying to just get a little side draft on Rice-Budo so that he could come back up along the outside. And I had been wondering, since Rice-Budo wanted to get back in this championship, if he and Lampe have been pretty chummy, if Lampe would just let him, if he could, get the win, get those points. The way that Lampe was driving, I say, yeah, no. Sure looked like he was going for the win here. And yeah, 3 abreast at turn into 17. Yeesh.
Wow, that was crazy. So I'm just going to check one thing before we get too deep here back into the show. All right, so I can tell you the results. I won't be able to show them to you, but the results of race 1. Let's see. It was Lampe, Burkhardt, Rice-Budo, first, second, and third. The margin of victory, 0.028. So it was close.
Oh, man.
It was close. So
yeah, it was.
They're in their warm-up now, and got to get timing and scoring and a few other things set back up here, Greg. But we'll go back and look at another really close finish from last week here in just a moment's time once we're sorted. And, talk about close finishes. That certainly was one of them.
Yeah, well, we were talking a little bit earlier in this race about how close that battle was for 12th with Dylan Lee, Jose De Las Casas, Court Schmidt. And at our previous race, in the second race, watch this, folks.
Did he get it? Close. Let's see. At the stripe, Gilliland gets him. By how much? I don't even have a time displayed on my screen.
I think that was your classic photo finish, baby. Wow.
This is a computer. It should tell me exactly how much, but it won't.
You would think.
It won't. That tells me that was a tie, or about as close to it as you're going to get in a simulator.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Where's the start finish? Is right under here. Well, it was right before that, wasn't it?
That was incredibly close.
Right there. That is the line. Oh, gosh.
Unbelievable.
How
do you judge that?
Well, usually the computer will tell you.
Yeah,
I mean, look at that.
Well, yeah, it says the gap for both of them from the leader, identical, 26.344.
Yeah, so to cap that off, by the way, that was a tie, an actual tie. I've never seen it before, but we dove down into the data, and it was absolutely a tie down to the smallest unit of measure that iRacing uses. So they awarded both of those drivers.
Tell them that. Tell them that measure, because it's extraordinary.
Yeah, so basically iRacing has like a session step time that's basically every simulator frame, right? And every physics frame, I should say.
Yeah.
It's about a 32-bit number in the background that is churning constantly, and it was identical for both of them for the session event for finishing. So it was the tie. I don't know that there ever has been another one of those in iRacing. I've never seen it confirmed before. So it was really a pretty cool thing to see.
Yeah, the definitive dead heat. And as you said, after the Full Send Sims administrators looked at it, they decided to give Murphy Nichols, who was shown as finishing just behind Andrew Gilliland, decided to give him the additional point for 12th as well. They both got it, which is extraordinary. But it just points out, we're talking about racing for outside of the top 10 here. And it's that furious and close, and that's what makes this so special and so much fun here. Sudden dropouts and crashes notwithstanding here, that's just part of it. But it's going to take a lot to live up to this. For the second race to live up to that finish. Now that was for 12th, mind you, but nonetheless, it is just a good idea of just how close things can get. And now we just have to have the second race have an equally insane finish as the first race. So since we didn't see the first one, we can we can get absolutely crazy for you.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that the second race is better, so we'll forget about the first one. Is what is what I'm hoping for. Again, I've only had. I mean, as far as simulator crashes in broadcasts, it's been years since I've had one of those. So that's odd, but
yeah. And I love your optimism, but saying you hope the second race is better when the first one had 3 cars dead even side by side going into the last turn of the last lap.
I mean, our sample size is only like 8 or 9 races here, but but about half of them have been that or closer.
That's true.
That's
true.
This racetrack puts it on.
Think about last season, that incredible move by Camden, going from third to first, and prior to that, we saw a couple of moves with Morgan down there and side by sides, and it's just incredible. So it certainly isn't beyond the realm of possibility.
I would not put it past it. We're about 15 seconds away from gridding up for the second race of the night. And the other thing that we saw that we were kind of expecting was first lap incidents. Really, it didn't happen until turn 3. But going back to the start of the first race, and actually, while we've got a moment, I won't be able to do that now actually because it was in the previous time I loaded into the sim. But we'll just recall back to the start when it was 6 or 7 cars wide, and the exit of turn 1 is not 6 or 7 cars wide.
No.
So they got it filtered down. We only lost 1 car in the opening corner, which was impressive, but the track doesn't get wider again until the exit of turn 5. So, and even then, it's just a little bit wider. You really have to be smart about the positions you try to grab on the start.
Yeah, and where everything kind of went bonkers was when they tried to go 3 abreast through turn 3. And, you think about we were at Willow when they tried to go 3 abreast through turn 1. And I love Andrew Benab, the steward, said, to the guys involved, they said, guys, that was stupid. and they went, yeah. So, but, hey, adrenaline in the heat of the moment and everything. You're just trying to make up spots. How darn tough the front end of this field is. And when I say front end, I mean down top 10, top 15. It is just tough sledding. And so it's going to be interesting to see. And of course, I wrote that tease about how close Morgan and Camden are, and then Camden not here. So we need something else to jolt us here, and I think we got it with Ethan Lampy.
Where is Camden this week? I haven't really seen what he's up to.
I'm trying to remember if in his interview last week he said he wasn't going to be able to make it for something, and I just can't recall.
Either way, we get another pace lap around here. Starting grid is going to be we might as well show you this because this is the finishing order from the last race that we weren't able to show you. And so here is the finishing results of the first race and the starting grid for race 2. Lampy, Burkhardt, Rice, Sputo, Reyes, Soto, Wozencroft, P6. He snuck through there, didn't he? Brock, Burton, Manis, Forster.
Yeah, he's just been having an incredible run so far. And just taking a look here, that was his 6th top 10 of this season and knocking on the door of his first top 5. Just showing some really, really good pace and racecraft here. Keeping his nose clean, running fast, running up with some awfully talented guys. I love to see it. And then, Skip Brock here, if he doesn't have a problem early, we've seen him with some stellar runs. For quite some time, he's capable of it. There's no question.
He was up into 4th place on the opening lap, but got shuffled back and wasn't ever really able to recover. Dylan Lee is going to start this race in 11th. He's had a pretty good night. He's got the virtual reality goggles on too, so he's fully immersed in the world of sim racing right now.
Getting after it. I love it. And hey, let's not forget, starting in 10th, Beans will be back there. And when Beans is on, he's as good as it gets and is a great instructor, great teacher. And he just had a bad qualifying, had problems in that first race. He and Court had that coming together. And, now let's see what he's going to be able to do from that 10th spot.
And Ethan Lampy, what a showing. And again, I don't know how many races he's done with us, but let me go back and look and see if he has done. No, he hasn't, actually.
I was kind of wondering,
Yeah, again, I told you earlier I wasn't confident in saying that he's been here before because I see him so many times across not only the road racing series that I do, but also the oval series. I've seen him pop in other places as well. So this is his first race, and his sample size of one won a race, so maybe he'll do it again.
Yeah, from pole, no less. So this is his second straight pole in his first 2 races. So, but now he's got a guy named Burkhardt alongside. And yeah, he'll have the inside going into turn 1, but that's not always the best spot to be here. So it's going to be fun. And then you got a very hungry Rice Pudo and Reyes right there. You got, I think, a little frustrated Soto, who, looked like he had certainly top 3 potential here, and then got shuffled back and ended up still 5th. But I think there's some hungry folk behind this
I would
front row.
say so. Olivier Piatek in race 1 did not go well, but he's going to start 31st, so you can only really go up. Sally Mott was also tangled up in that opening lap crash, not of her own doing. She'll start 28th in this one, so a long way to go upward for her as well. Also current competitor.
She's really quick.
Yeah, well, current competitor in the Global MX-5 Cup Series, so that would explain that. So she's got her hands around an MX-5 car, but Piatek warming up the tires in the background, way up top there.
Really aggressively.
Take another look at the weather before we start. A little bit warmer than it was earlier, 111 Fahrenheit on the racetrack. And Greg, another 8-lap race coming up here at Sebring. Man, if the race 1 was any indication, this is about to get spicy.
This should be phenomenal, and let's keep an eye on Piatek coming from the back. He's going to be racing angry here. So onto the front straight. Here we go. Remember, we had a couple of guys make some really early moves, and I know the stewards are looking at that. But here we go. We're green, and a little bit better. But here comes Rice Pudo. We are already 3 abreast. Soto going right with Rice Pudo, trying to give him a little bit of a shove. There goes Morgan swinging way out. But he's going to be a bit out of position here. And Lampy's going to try and get to the outside. Lampy squared up underneath Rice Pudo. Lampy, he might just lead again by the time they exit 3 here. What a good read on that. And Reyes a superb start.
That was really dicey. Lampy to the top spot. Look at their 3 wide into turn 3 again. This time they made it through. There's other cars around in the background. Rick Segrini made it through this time. Lucas Strabelli's turned around. And I think, man, Piatek made up a handful of spots. 25th place. Other cars bouncing and weaving back on course, but Lampy to the top again.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Jordan Rick Segrini was involved in that first lap incident, so he's got work to do. But we saw this in the first race. Top 3 cars kind of opened it up a little bit in a hurry, and then the others had to run them down. And let's see who's going to be able to pull that off here. Oh, big pile up here. That's Rick Segrini involved. So he's able to get through. I don't know what kind of damage he's got. Buttermore's part of it there. The 101 in it as well of Clouderback. Somebody broken on the right there.
Yeah, there's just a lot of carnage there in turn 7. Almost too much to unpack, but the front 3 have stayed the same. Reyes and Soto stay 4th and 5th. Wozencroft still rides in 6th, and he's right behind Soto. So if he can just attach himself to the back of the 77, he'll be in a great position here in another few laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And Josh Soto is really quick. So for Andrew here, stay with him. See if there's any spot where he's just a little quicker than you. Maybe he's just able to brake a little bit later. He's got a slightly different line. And then hopefully Reyes, I love the term, and I don't remember exactly what it was, Reyes being the guy that pulls you up to that lead group, the guy in the middle.
The draft bridge.
That's it, the draft bridge, yes.
Which I don't know that that's a real thing, but it's a term somebody used one time on the GR Cup shows, and I said, you know what, that's a good word.
It's a real thing now because you've used it and it makes sense.
It's like RG Bargy, you use it enough and it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Add it to the racing dictionary. Here's the top 3 into turn 17, and Lampy looking a little sideways on the turn in there.
Yep. Boy, these lead 3, you can just see their commitment there through 17. None more so than Burkhardt. You got to give his ability to drive lines, be ultra precise, put the car in the exact same spot every lap. Boy, and I don't know, is it a little early for this kind of stuff? Because Morgan can pounce on this.
And he is going to.
He's looking to.
Oh, 3 wide again.
Oh, here we go. Yep. I think that might just be enough for Lampy, and Lampy's going to turn in, and Morgan savvy enough to see that coming. That was so close.
Lampy just trusted that Morgan wouldn't try to stick the nose in there that late on a dive bomb, and Rice Pudo backed out. All very smart driving there. Reyes was off course, a little drop in a tire in the sand. and see if they can stay in touch. They're 8/10 back now. That's almost at the upper edge of the draft effect here in iRacing.
Yeah, exactly. You got Reyes, Soto, Wozenkrupp, Block, Foster, all in that group here. You know, one thing, you know, the last time we, last week, or last Tuesday night when we talked to Nicholas Rice-Puto, he said, yeah, he said, I've just had a very frustrating start. And he said, I just got to stay aggressive. And that's what he's working on. And the guy who's always aggressive, look at this here. Burkhardt working down to the inside into Cunningham. But Lampe knows what Burkhardt did last time and stayed there. And Lampe did that absolutely beautifully. And I think he learned that from Burkhardt. And Burkhardt, I think, was thinking about a move, but looked and saw Rice-Puto so close.
I think Ethan Lampe might be able to match Burkhardt in pace and in racecraft aggression. I mean, tonight we've seen Lampe pull off moves that I didn't know could be done. I mean, just maintaining the outside around Cunningham like that without having to pinch Morgan, this is really impressive driving. You know, we should expect it from a caliber of driver like Ethan, but really, I think Morgan Burkhardt has met his match tonight, and he's going to have to figure out how to beat him the old-fashioned way.
You bet. And Morgan is going to throw everything he possibly can. And just that little bit of scrapping here has allowed Reyes, well, I was going to say he closed it up, but then he has lost a little bit again here, and he's now under attack from Soto. And I think Soto was saying, okay, I think I've got a little bit more pace. I'm going to try and get to the front. Look at this! 3 abreast again into 17. Burkhardt on the outside. Rice-Puto way outside. Watch for Burkhardt to come underneath. Got a great exit speed. Look at Lampe squeezing him just a little bit, trying to keep that inside edge. And look at that. Rice-Puto going to go right with Lampe. Lampe drifts over to protect. Now Rice-Puto trying, well, for a second, looked like he was going to thread the needle. But Burkhardt's got position on the outside now.
This is so fierce between these two. They were leaning on each other through the front straightaway. Rice-Puto's going to pop out there 3 wide again. I can't believe how much time they've spent this 3 across the racetrack. But Rice-Puto bails out again. Lampe holds the lead now, just over Morgan Burkhardt through turn 3.
Yeah, and Morgan, I love what Morgan's doing because he's just trying to get Lampe off his rhythm a little bit. You know that classic Buddy Baker line about getting a bit behind in the steering. And so far, Lampe has not taken that bait seriously. You know, he's moved a little bit here and there. And then every time Morgan tries this out, well, I thought for a minute, every time Morgan tries this, Rice-Puto gives Lampe the little move here. This is going to be interesting.
Morgan here, though.
He's
going to have it, I think.
And look at Soto.
Coming from 4th.
Popping around. Yep.
To the outside of the 0-3 of Rice-Puto. They're door-to-door with a run for the 77. And now Lampe can't get distracted with this because it'll let Morgan get away.
Exactly. He's just got to focus here. But that's the thing, you know, we watch Morgan there, and he just has such incredible car placement. And, you know, we talk about, I love that earlier you were talking about 4-dimensional chess, right?
Yeah.
I often say this is high-speed chess because you're planning moves that are going to happen 2-3 corners ahead and the like. And Morgan just sort of has that knack. There's no question about it. And now Lampe, it's still early in the race, though. So, Ethan, sit back a little bit. Just follow Morgan around and learn what, you know, Morgan's little tricks, this and that. And then we're going to see things change. But all of that exchange, what do we have now? 9-car battle for the lead, essentially?
We could have more. I know these guys are a little ways back, but how about Olivier Piatek up to 13th place? Remember where he started this race? 31st. And Jordan Rick-Signorini, 32nd to 15th. He's kind of in no man's land with a little bit of damage, but these drivers have made huge gains, and we're side by side again for the lead. Of course we are.
Of course, yes, that's just how it is, right? Look at this stuff here.
Look at Soto.
I was going to say, Soto is one guy who has absolutely no compunction about getting in there and rubbing fenders. And the fact that he's inside here is going to allow for a nice exit for Lampe. And one of the things that I was talking about is that Lampe, for his first appearance here, and you know the rules that we have in this series about you've got to give that guy space if he's established alongside you. May not be necessarily really familiar for Lampe, and he.
Into turn 3 there. Lost Greg there for just a moment, but we're back. You're back.
What a night, huh?
Man, we saved all our technical issues for the best
side.
races of the season, haven't we?
No kidding. Unbelievable.
Down the backstretch, though, Lampe, Burkhardt, Rice-Puto, Soto, and Reyes. Those top 5 have been basically in that order one way or another since middle of race 1, but they continue to shake things up. And it's an 8-car fight, then it's 2 seconds back to Skip Brock Jr. So I would say even maybe 9 or 10 because it's Greenfield right behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Then another second back to Burton, which is the first car out of the top 10. Here's our 8, and then you can see those 2 in the background. But it is, I'll tell you, whenever Josh Soto comes up and joins that lead battle, you just know things are going to get interesting. Morgan and those guys, the way they race, it's aggressive, but it seems like, for lack of a better term, it's planned, right? And Soto gets up there and he's like, yeah, no, I'm just going for it. And it's so fun to watch. And he's just such a wild card.
10 minutes to go, halfway through this race. And man, Morgan Burkhardt is all over Lampe again, looking left, looking right. And it's such an interesting driver to watch because he's got so much patience at times, and then other times he just catches you by surprise, and you never really know when to trust him when he's following you.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that's just such a pleasure with him. Soto running really wide back there. And when we have those onboard shots with Morgan, you see that VGRT on the front of the car. That's Victor Gonzalez Race Team, and that is the team he races for in pro racing in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. And you also see FSS, which is a sponsor on that team as well. So lots of bedfellows here. None of them strange, though. It's all awesome.
Wow, their commitment level is so high amongst these drivers at the moment at the front of the field. Look at Soto drifting out all the way to the wall there on the exit. That was Grass and iRacing for many years, and they just recently kind of gave that the pave job that it's had for so long. And
I'll tell you, I have seen, announcing pro races, real life races at this track, when somebody runs wide out of 17, nicks that wall, comes right back across, and causes a massive incident. So it's just something to be a little bit wary of here. But look at this now, Rice-Puto diving down to the inside. That could cost Morgan. Soto gave him a little bit of room there, but Morgan's got to try and keep that nose. He runs wide enough that I think that's part of that safe re-entry, which he does. But now he has Reyes giving him a little bit of help here, Kyle. Yeah,
Reyes going to give him a shot here. Andrew Wozencroft, Beans Forster, they're all still in contention. Hayden Manis at the back of this group. How about the 65? Started this race in 9th. He hasn't moved up very far, but he is watching all these positions get traded, and it won't take a lot for him to jump into one of them.
Look at Beans. See that move outside in on Wozencroft, and just got down to the inside. And that's going to give Hayden Manis an opportunity to maybe try and do so. And Wozencroft wisely moves right over. And here we go. Reyes now going to come down the inside of Soto. Soto just says, all right, just work the outside here. And of course that, and I say this all the time, but it's something that Morgan's great at, and you can see the other guys that get it, is if you can maintain that position, and you're supposed to, that guy on the inside is supposed to give you that lane, but he knows whenever he does, it's tightening his exit up a little bit, which, as you continue to have input into the steering wheel, you can't pick up the throttle, or if you can't open the wheel up, you're scrubbing a little bit of speed. And, there are some guys that just intrinsically figure that out, Burkhardt being one of them, but there are others. And a Piatek closing in.
He just ran the best lap that anybody has run in this race, with the exception of Beans Forster and 2 others. So he is just flying right now. It definitely ran the best lap of anybody that last lap by. So he is on a charge.
That's a 2:36.6, wasn't it?
4/10 quicker than the leaders.
All right, here he goes, diving down to the inside of Dylan Lee. And 7 minutes to go. Not sure how much farther up Piatek's going to be able to get here. We're watching Dylan fending off Piatek, and Piatek finds his way through in that green machine.
Hey, Manis all over Beans Forster here for 6th place. This will be fun to watch.
think Hayden's a little bit hungry here. You know, we've seen the speed, and he just hasn't been able to parlay it into a really good result here. Oh boy, and now this field is coming up on some traffic as well. There's Beans diving down to the inside of Reyes. Makes it through, bounding and bouncing over the curbs here. And you know the old joke about this place doesn't have any official elevation change, but when you look at shock travel, it's got the most elevation change of any track in the planet, probably.
Yeah, it's like climbing Everest over the course of that 3.7 miles. Feels like driving over it too.
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
road? I mean, it's just wild. Here's Hayden Manis and Jean Reyes. This is for 6. Wozencroft had dropped to 8 with these drivers scrapping. And Piatek on the outside of Dylan Lee. We saw Burkhardt pull this pass off earlier. Can Piatek throttle up and hold it? It's going to be tough.
Ooh, really tough. They are side by side here. And our leaders are coming up in the back at 979. It's Tony Shelton. And we'll see how he deals with all of this.
Oh, boy.
Here comes, look at this, big move there by Soto. Dives underneath Morgan Burkhardt. Morgan gives him a little tap. And nice job. I can just see there that Tony Shelton doing everything he could to hit the disappear button here.
And so Lampe and Rice-Budo are through, and that leaves Soto and Burkhardt next to contend with them, and he's going to do the gentlemanly thing and stay drivers right here. Soto is going to try to pull over. He wants a little draft before he has to surpass him.
Well, I think he's also trying to park Burkhardt behind him if he can.
That would help, wouldn't it? But they're losing the front two, and it's going to be
sure are.
important because there's only 2 laps left next time by. That's huge for Lampe and Rice-Budo.
And, you know, even though it may have hurt Soto in terms of a top 2, that was brilliant in terms of a defense on Burkhardt, although he may have just thrown it away there with that running so wide there. But he literally was able to use him as a pick just a little bit.
Watch Burkhardt here in turn 16. Got a little too much curb, and watch this bounce. Wow.
All 4.
Yeah, that was a little too much.
Just for an instant, yeah. Well, hey, when Morgan's doing stuff like that, you know the man is pushing for his life.
So 2 laps to go.
Worth.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of work to do. He's got to gain 1.3 seconds worth of time in the next 7 miles. Good luck.
Yeah. It's down to Rice-Budo and Lampe now. Lampe, remember, pulled to win in the first race. Pole 2, leading to start the penultimate lap here. Soto! And Burkhardt, you don't see Morgan do that very often in turn 1. And again, but look at Soto has actually closed this up.
Yeah, 6/10.
He just turned a 2:37.1 quicker than the 2 guys up front by a little bit. He's coming.
And look at on the left-hand side of the screen, the lap times the front 2 ran last time by identical.
Wow.
Around 3.7 miles, they were to the 1,000th the same.
I think they're in lockstep here.
I would say so. If there was a definition, it would be these 2.
Yeah.
In the dictionary. Man,
DJ, you know what?
sorry, Greg. DJ gave me a hard time one time because I couldn't remember the word for the thesaurus, and so I used the synonym book was what I pulled out.
Oh, there you go.
I got real in trouble for that one. So
synonym book.
Yeah,
I like that.
Word book, dictionary.
I've heard interesting others from you.
Oh boy,
involving mirrors.
Why is that? I know
go.
Someone referenced that this weekend. I was like, why is it the only call everyone ever remembers? Oh,
because it was such a classic, baby.
Well, this is going to be a classic too. Soto's caught these front 2.
Absolutely.
Game on.
But I'll tell you, the fact that you couldn't remember thesaurus, that is tragic. It's upsetting. It's saddening. It's bizarre. Sorry.
Wow. Wow.
I had to. I actually saw that as a joke on Facebook, and I thought, this is the moment to pull it out.
That's excellent. Oh, boy. We're having too much fun up here. Let's hope we get the checker this time on broadcast at least.
Yeah.
I want to jinx myself, but...
Ooh, nice run there. Ooh, and then that bump right at the end. You can see that upset Rice-Budo's car just a smidge. And that may have been enough. Yeah, he's now got to worry about defending on Soto. This is not trying to make a move on Lampe. He's trying to keep Soto behind him. He just got too much curb there. Here comes Soto. Let's see, does Soto he does. He's clear. He's going to jump into second. This could upset the old apple cart.
I honestly
come around to start the last lap.
I thought that Lampe was going to be home free with those two battling, but that was not the case. They've kept the gap 0.3 of a second. Morgan Burkhardt still lurking back here, Greg. So it is not over. Last lap from Sebring.
Last lap, but I noticed that Lampe runs a little tighter line all the way through 17. And, might not give him quite the exit speed. And Soto's in full attack mode now. And you know what? If this goes all terribly wrong, Beans is sitting back there just a couple of car lengths back in 5th. And who knows? But here we go. Last lap. Lampe defending. Misses the turn in just a little bit there at 3. There's really nowhere to go here. Soto trying the outside line, but he's way wide at this stage. Lampe comes across. Now, watch Rice Puto. He got a little bit better drive off. He's going to come up onto the left shoulder, or try to, of Soto, and instead he gets Morgan down to the inside. And now Soto pops out, recognizing what was happening. And look at Morgan going, well, that just might work for me here.
Into 3rd place, potentially, and he will. He might go to second. What a pass.
Ooh.
It's not done yet, though.
It's not done. Rice Puto went from 2nd to 4th, and look who's right there as well. Beans is right at the back here, and we got Morgan and Soto scrapping, and now Rice Puto. Boy, this is just insanity here. All right, Lampe gets to Cunningham first, and it's Soto and Burkhardt side by each through Collier here. What is going to happen here at Tower, Kyle?
This is just crazy. I mean, the aggression that we saw out of all these drivers this entire race, somehow they've still got tire. Lampe's off, Soto's off, Burkhardt's off. The virtual corner workers are screaming into their virtual headsets right now. 4 off, 2 off, over the curb, and a 1/3 of a lap to go here at Sebring.
And traffic, although may not be close enough for them to catch necessarily, but here we go.
Oh, he missed it. Something's wrong.
Something happened there. He's way out there.
Might have a hardware problem. Could have been what I experienced in the last race too.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There's something going on, but we have to see if we can get back to the checkers. Lampe, Burkhardt, Rice Puto, and Lampe's got a 0.4 of a second lead. It's going to be hard to erase that in 2 corners.
Well, I think Soto suddenly checking up and moving over there. I think everybody behind him just had to breathe it for a second. Rice Puto diving down to the inside. Now here we go. This is it. Last turn. Lampe just has to get a clean exit here. He looks pretty good. Morgan using up every piece of track, trying to get every bit of speed, momentum out of it, but Lampe's going to double up. Morgan second, Rice Puto third, and Beans Forrester coming across in that 4th spot. Wow.
Whew. Wow.
Unbelievable.
I think
Reyes in 5th.
I think Morgan Burkhardt has met his match tonight. Whoops.
I think he just did the old bad down change on purpose there.
Yeah.
Saw a big puff of motor smoke.
He really put on a show, didn't he, Ethan Lampe, tonight?
Oh, both of them did. Well, that whole group, Rice Puto and Soto, and in that first race, I mean, we had Reyes was in that. I mean, it was just absolutely incredible. And I'm looking here, where did Piatek? Only 13th.
Yeah, he dropped.
As far as he could get here.
Dropped down. Court Schmidt got by him. Jordan Rick-Segrini up to 14th after starting in the low 20s, or the high 20s rather. So that is a really great drive for him. And even for Piatek, 31st to 13th. I mean, I know it could have been more than that, but honestly, I think you'd take that.
Oh, absolutely you would. And then again, look at Hayden Manis, a really, really solid run for him. Another impressive run for Wozencroft, doing a great job. I want to look here. Hayden, let's see, that would be Hayden's 4th top 10, and just missing his first top 5 by that much.
Wow, fun. Let's look down the rest of the order here. Joshua Soto, Court Schmidt, Piatek. That was a pretty fun fight. Look at the margins there. 17.1, 17.3, 17.6, 17.9 back. 5 cars within a half a second.
That's really, and only about 0.4 off of Soto there at the end. That's remarkable.
That is impressive.
Then you can see Mueller, Spolin, Lucas Strabelli, Sawyer Richards, and Josh Bakari fill out our top 20.
And looking down the rest of the order here, Al Ducharme, Wayne Buttermore, Dylan Maroney recovered from that engine issue he had in the first race. Joshua Clatterbuck was involved in an incident. So was Sally Mott, but P25 there on the lead lap at least. And down the rest of the order there, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. Brown, Guetta, Friedhofer, Aziz, and Shelton. And Shelton, I thought, did a really nice job of just making sure that he didn't affect anybody up there. He did everything he possibly could to make sure he was out of the way. And unfortunately, Jose De Las Casas had a problem and was way back as well. So I hate to see it, but Jose will be back for real here this weekend in some real-world racing with his FARA series. Well, and I got to point out there, buddy, if you haven't been to a FARA series, one of the there's many reasons to come, but they have pro Spec Miata, real Spec Miata cars, pro drivers, and it is just spectacular as you would imagine. So it's kind of a natural, really, that FARA teamed up with Full Send Sims for this series.
Well, we've got one of our podium finishers from races 1 and 2. Nicholas Rice-Budo joins us now in the 03 car. P3 both times, but it was fierce racing. We saw more 3 wide tonight than I think we have all season long. I know you would have liked a position or two better, Nicholas, but that had to have been a lot of fun.
Oh, it definitely was a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty bummed out about at least race 1. I had the preferred line going into 17, and I just couldn't get it stopped, and Lampy was able to get under me. But in the second race, I slammed into the back of him at turn 7, and I was down on powers for the last, 8 minutes or so, so there's not much I could do there. But the first race I'm a little bummed about, but it was all around a fun night.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know whether you're aware of it, but that first race, we ended up having iRacing crash in our broadcast here. Oh. As you guys were 3 abreast heading into 17. So thanks for giving us a little bit of insight in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can understand because, the 3 of you were, like I said, side by side going into 17. It had to be incredible, and I can understand your frustration there. But, 2 podiums. One, obviously, with Camden missing and with Jordan struggling a little bit. Yeah, Morgan was up in front of you, but still, coming in your 5th in the points, that's not going to hurt.
No, not bad. 3rd seems to be my lucky number. I'm trying to break it. Maybe I should change it on the car to 1 or something.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm loving the way you're racing. I just got to say that here. Elbows out, really aggressive here. And I know that you kind of got caught out a few times in the first few races and had some unfortunate moments. But it was just fun watching your race tonight. I can understand, especially with being a little down on power. But man. Nicholas Rice-Budo is back, brother. That was fun.
Appreciate it, guys. I can't wait to watch it.
Thanks, Nicholas. Yeah, it turns out, Greg, also Andrew Benna, one of our stewards, had a similar issue with iRacing, so it wasn't just me tonight. I knew something was going on. Let's talk to Ethan Lampy, who won both races tonight. Ethan, man, I see you everywhere nowadays, huh? Tonight, P1 in both races. Man, you got it done against one of the best in this series. Morgan Burkhardt's a 3-time champion, runs in Michelin Pilot Challenge Series. You bring in your own experience from the sim side. What was it like running the NC car tonight against this group?
It was a blast, man. I race these cars in real life, so it was really fun getting on with a bunch of people, racing really close. Morgan's a great driver, same with Nick and everyone else at the front. Qualified on pole, managed to get it done in both races, and I can't thank you guys enough for putting on this event. I had a blast.
I'll tell you, Nathan, this is Ethan, this is Greg, and just watching your racecraft out there,
Oh, we lost him. We've been having all sorts of issues tonight. iRacing aside, we'll wait for him to get back. And
am I there now?
Yeah, you're back.
There, yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I'm having some issues too, apparently. Watching, one of the things that a lot of the racers struggle with on occasion with Morgan Burkhardt is his strategy and his racecraft, and you seem to be able to match him at every turn here tonight. It was awesome watching you two guys duel.
It was awesome, man. I've been racing with Morgan for quite a long time now, so we know each other pretty well. We know how we race. We know basically every move we're going to make, so it made for a really close race, and I had a blast.
We had an absolute blast calling it, watching it, and I hope we see you back here a lot more often. Absolutely, you brought it tonight, and that's just a joy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ethan.
Take care.
And let's chat now with who else we got here. Morgan Burkhardt is waiting for us. P2 tonight in both races, Morgan. And we said earlier that, Ethan Lampe, we've seen him around the sim racing world a lot. I don't know how much experience you have racing against him in the sim, but it seems like tonight he brought something to match your racecraft and pace.
Yeah, no, I race Ethan a ton. We have a lot of fun together. He did a great job all night long. Put the car exactly where it needed to be. He was pretty much unstoppable. Had a really great time. Race 1 was amazing. I heard you guys had a stream drop, which is unfortunate because that was
sim
one
crash.
of the. Oh no!
Yeah,
that was one of the wildest finishes I've been a part of. It was like shades of 2021 MX5 Cup at Sebring when they're 3 wide across the line in like a dead heat. So. Really, really fun race 1. And then race 2, I got that little bumper damage in the first lap and a half or something like that. And then it just kept getting worse all race long. I did the math on it and I was 2.5 miles an hour down every single straightaway. So it was just so hard to compete after that. I'd get a good run coming out of turn 16 down the back straight to 17. I'd start to gain coming out of the corner. I wouldn't even get past the end of the exit curbing, and then I'd lose 2/10 down the straight. So you had to drive the car so hard from the get-go, use up so much tire, and I'm honestly, to finish second in race 2, I'm going to call that a win because of how hard that was just to stay there. So, again, big congrats to Ethan. He drove amazingly.
Well, I got to tell you, it was an absolute joy for us to watch two guys who not only have obvious speed, but who just have top-notch racecraft strategy and enough familiarity with each other to kind of be able to formulate a little defense as well, as you talked about. And that is just great stuff. And then every once in a while, you'd have the wild card like Josh Soto pop into it and sort of affect things a little bit. But wow, was it fun to watch and even more fun to call.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's always a great time. And, another fun fact about Ethan is he's gearing up to hopefully get nominated to go to the Spec MX5 shootout at the end of the season, going to the runoffs again in Spec MX5 for the first time. So, just putting that out there. If anybody from us is watching, this is the one you want to pick. He is it. That's what you want right there, because he's the same in the real world. He's got multiple track records in pretty much every track in California, whether it be Spec Miata or Spec MX5. He is an absolute weapon in the best possible way.
So I presume you won't be at the runoffs this year, so I'll have to throw my lot with Ethan, is what you're saying when I'm announcing.
Oh no, I'll be at the runoffs. That is
Are you
for
racing?
sure. Oh yeah.
Oh well, double trouble.
We got to go for redemption.
Well, I was hoping. I didn't know if your schedule would allow it. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. No, we got Indianapolis this weekend for round 9 of the Pilot Challenge. I get a week off. Drive out to Wisconsin the following Sunday or Saturday. Get there Sunday, test Monday, do the whole week of the runoffs, race Saturday, leave Sunday, go to Road Atlanta to get there Tuesday to go for the Petite, leave Road Atlanta Sunday, get a week off, or no, the end of that week, go to Martinsville for the MX5 Cup race. There's a whole lot.
Sounds like your life
so.
sucks, Morgan.
Oh, dude, it's terrible. A racetrack every week, it's awful.
I was just going to say, sounds like the young racer's dream, brother. Yeah. Well done.
I appreciate that. It is one for the books. I'm so blessed and happy to be able to do this and chase something that I've wanted to chase for pretty much as long as I can remember. It's just amazing just to be a part of it, and experiencing all of these really cool things. The IMSA paddock is, if you haven't gone to any of those races, I highly recommend it. The bang for the buck that you get as a general admission ticket holder, you can go literally anywhere as long you can't go in the pit lane, but anywhere else is free game. You can go up and see all of the cars up close and personal. You can sit in a lot of them. All the drivers are super accessible. So if you haven't gone, put that on your bucket list.
Yep, unlike a lot of other sports, that paddock is accessible. And Morgan, we're going to wrap things up, but I want to finish it with saying everything you're experiencing right now, you have earned it, my friend.
I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. I will hopefully be here next week.
All right, we hope so too.
Thanks, Morgan.
All right, then. See you guys.
All right, Greg, what a night. What a night of racing at Sebring.
Wow.
This place never has disappointed us, and I don't anticipate it will later this year either, because it is the short course that will be hosting the final week of racing on. But next week, we get to go to another one of my favorite places in North America, and that's Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and Road America next week. So I'm very, very excited for that.
Yeah, it's home in a lot of ways for me, and I just love that place. And the amazing thing about Road America is for the complete lack of elevation change we have here, you get tons of it at Road America. And one thing I want to remind everybody, if it's been a while since you've been to Road America and you just want to get a little extra seat time before next Tuesday night, well, this Thursday night, we're having one of the Racecraft Academy sessions at Road America. All you got to do is go to fullsendsims.com, sign up, and you can get a little bit of extra track time at that glorious National Park of Speed, as they like to call it. We're going to wrap up our coverage here of this great event here at Sebring, and even with missing the finale, and it killed me when Morgan said one of the most exciting finishes I've ever had here. And we'll take his word at it, because it sure looked like it was going to be great. But as always, going to finish with a huge thank you to Court Schmidt, Full Send Sims, to Farah, a great group. And again, they will be at Sebring this coming weekend. Come on out and see it. I'll be announcing there. Should be a lot of fun. Come enjoy it. It doesn't cost you much at all. $5 to park a car is about it. 3P Logistics and Final Turn Motorsports, they've been with us right from the beginning. I bet they'll be working hand in hand again at the runoffs here in just a couple of weeks. They are close. Wine Country Motorsports as well. Absolutely fantastic. And that's going to wrap things up from here at Sebring next week, or next Tuesday night. Once again, Road America. As always, massive thanks to Finney and DeCuna for all this work on our camera placements, and to you, Kyle, for everything you do. I'm Greg Creamer. We'll see you next Tuesday night at America's Nürburgring.